Do Good Work Podcast, hosted by Terrell and J'Quen Johnson. We specialize in taking a deep dive into issues that truly matter. Each episode unpacks the challenges and opportunities facing today's leaders, from classrooms to boardrooms, offering insights that inspire real change. By redefining success, we're changing lives, empowering people everywhere to create environments where everyone feels a sense of belonging, whether at home, work, or school. So hey, sit back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and join us as we explore the issues shaping our futures, one meaningful conversation at a time. Let's go!
Hello, and welcome to Do Good Work Podcast. I'm your co-host, Terrell J'Quen, joined literally live in the studio with my co-host, J'Quen, and we have a dynamic show set up for you. You already know our special guest is the man, the myth, the legend, JW Gibson, and we are coming to you live from the office in his lovely home in North Memphis, and we are so excited that you've tuned in to today's show. Listen, like, subscribe, follow us on all things social media. It is now the time. Drop it into the family group chat. Tag it on your friends online. Let them know the show's gone live, and we've got JW Gibson here. I'm going to kick it over to J'Quen.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. So we'd like to start the show off with using the first letter of your last name, describing your day or week. So I'm Johnson J. We got S for Strayhorn, G for Gibson. I'm going to go last because I don't know my words yet. So I'm going to kick it over to Strayhorn first.
Listen, I got to say, surprised. I have known you for several years now. Yeah. You were chair of the board when I was vice president at Lemoyne Owen College. I mean, I've seen your impact in the city. I've seen your leadership. I watched you lead our board. And, you know, I've heard great things about you and about your home, but my goodness, this place is gorgeous. And this is like a dream come true. I mean, to be able to interview you for the podcast is one thing, but to have the chance to come into your home, and thank you again for extending us that invitation to you and your lovely wife, Kathy. So I'm going to say surprised, but I am so excited. Looking forward to the show. All right, so, G.
So that's an E. Excited.
But I said surprised.
Surprised is your
yeah,
word?
That's my word. I'm going to go with surprise. I didn't know this would happen. I'm pinching myself, making sure I'm still awake.
Okay, good. I guess I would go with God. Godly would be my word. When I started my week off, I was a little heavy because I was thinking about what was happening here in Memphis with the conversation around the National Guard coming upon us. I was heavy because of what's happening on a national level with the divide of this country. Yeah. I was also kind of sad about the young man who lost his life. There's just a lot of heaviness that's going on that's unnecessarily. So that's kind of sort of where I am, relying on God's strength.
Yeah.
And energy.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's a really good word. I was going to piggy off of that and say Jesus, but I don't want to go there. So I'm going to say but I have a phrase. It's just do it. When we were preparing for the podcast last month to figure out who we wanted this month, your name came up first. Okay. So I never met JW Gibson, but the things that I've heard about you, I knew we just needed to do it, and we needed to be in Memphis to see you and do this interview. Also to just do some of the work that we've been talking about in terms of writing, in terms of research, and all those things that, you know, as you said, there's a lot of unnecessary things going on right now. Yeah. And I think there needs to be good work out there that shines light on some of the things that we can do to kind of shift the divide.
That's true.
Yeah, I love that. Just do it. Well, y'all hear it. So just do it. I don't know what that means to you, but if there are things that you've been putting off, thinking about, wondering about, now's the time to do it. And, you know, we don't always get this opportunity, so just also take the moment to say that sometimes you can't do what you want to do on your own. Most people can't do what they want to do on their own. You need good teams, need good support. And so we do want to recognize a member of our team, Dr. Tanita Freeman, who helped broker this conversation, making sure she helped us with the scheduling. And so, again, just do it. All right, let's kick into it. So a lot of people who watch the podcast often will reach out to us and say things like, this is exactly what you were just saying, JW, and that is they lost their job. They worked for the federal government and their department was closed down. They work in an area of, work that probably gets categorized as diversity, equity, and inclusion. Right. Their whole department's gone at their university. And they'll reach out to us and say, like, one, we appreciate what you guys are doing, but look, I want to do good work, but I just need a job right now. So we, a couple months ago, kicked into this segment where we offer advice to folks who are trying to retool, reskill, get back into the workforce. And so, you've had an impressive career, and you have an impressive career. What are some of the advice you might offer someone who's trying to get a job, land a job, get a promotion? What kind of advice that served you well when you've made your journey through?
Well, I always offer people, when asked that question, the notion of understanding and getting to know oneself. That's where it really all starts. If you have a true understanding of who I am, you can endure pretty much anything. Yeah. God has given you that capability. So my word of wisdom would be introspect. Be able to know who you are. Get to know your core being. Because once you do that, no matter what you go through, if you know who you are, know what you want, know what you're willing to do, you again can withstand anything. Yeah. You can find yourself a job. You can create your own job. You don't need to necessarily go looking for somebody to hire you. You can have that entrepreneurial spirit that I developed and discovered 33 years ago. All those things become possible if you know who you are and you believe in yourself.
Yeah, we got to come back to that. I want to hear about that entrepreneurial spirit. What did you say?
So, for me, I would say that my words of wisdom would be to use your network and leverage it. We have social media such as LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. You also met folks throughout your career who were colleagues and as you grow your network, as you transition and apply to new opportunities, reach out to some folks and let them know, like, hey, I'm really interested in this job. If you need my resume or if you want to hear more about why I'm interested, so they can tap into their network and kind of help you move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, like, I'm gonna get over it at some point, but it is kind of like when you see a movie star for the first time. I'm still in shock that I'm sitting beside you in your house interviewing you for the podcast. So what my advice would be, I don't know why, it's just hit me the wrong way today, but my advice would be this, and I think that's what's probably on my mind, is like, I often tell people, so I get to go and do a lot of things. We do a lot of stuff. The work is really important, but it's the people that matter. And I'm just thinking about today when we were running late from another appointment, and I was like, I wish I had his number. And I looked at my phone, and I had a voicemail from you from 2019 when you were board chair. Okay. And so the message is to y'all out there, do not throw away people. Keep people. Keep your networks. That's, you know right. what I'm saying? Like, you just never know that the person who was my boss's boss as the board chair would one day become a guest on the podcast. Who knew? Well, you said it earlier. God knew, right? But to all of you who are out there, listen, this is real good. If you think about getting a job, think about reskilling, think about trying to get back in the workforce, go through your phone. Who do you know? You might actually know your next boss. They're in your phone. Somebody, literally today, 2019. So, yeah, I'm just really amazed.
Never burn bridges, right?
Now, there it is. Yeah. Never burn. Now, think about that. What if I had burnt the bridge and I said, hey, JW, would be like, you remember in 2019 when you... Right. No. Don't burn bridges. Yeah, do good work and be good. Yes. Good people. So let's talk about it. You've had an impressive career. You've already started down this path. So... from leadership, from city work, education, and so many multiple forms of leadership. But you yourself started your own companies. So talk to us a little bit about that. Where did that come from, this entrepreneurial spirit, and what kind of work did you find yourself doing first?
So it all started for me 33 years ago.
Wow.
And I find that hard to believe sometimes, just thinking back 33 years. So I was coming out of the military.
Okay.
I served 4 years in the U.S. Navy, came back to Memphis, went to work for Memphis Like Gas and Water in the daytime and Christian Brothers at night. In the beginning of my career with Memphis Like Gas and Water, I was sent on loan to United Way under a program that they called at the time Loan Executive. And it was typically a situation where entry-level management people coming into Memphis Like Gas and Water would be sent over to United Way for a period of a capital campaign to help United Way go out to the community and solicit money for the capital campaign. So that was supposedly a 1-year stint. And then I was supposed to go back to Memphis Like Gas and Water after that. Lo and behold, make a long story short, after the first year, the next year's capital campaign manager, which was Ira Lipman, came in and he wanted the hottest, best loan executive that United Way could find. And I was deemed to be one of those.
Wow.
So they went to the president of Memphis Like Gas and Water and asked if I could come back for a second year. He said yes. So I went back to United Way for a second year. Lo and behold, that year went by real fast, and the third year was upon us. The president of Memphis Like Gas and Water, Larry Papasan, became the capital campaign manager for United Way. He too wanted the same thing. So he ended up bringing me back for a third year. What was supposed to be a 1-year stint ended up being 3 years in a row. And 3 out of 4 years that I was on Memphis Like Gas and Water payroll, I was with United Way. Now the key for me was that was a changing of my whole life. My outlook, how I thought about things, how I felt about things, how I received myself. Through those 3 years, it allowed me to get outside of South Memphis, which prior to United Way, I knew nothing about Memphis or Shelby County.
Really?
Beyond South Memphis.
Yeah.
And again, that gave me the opportunity to get outside of South Memphis, to learn what needed to be done, what was out there as far as opportunity. And that's when we discovered that healthcare was the #1 revenue producing industry in Shelby County. Do we need to
Go ahead. He got it.
that we needed to focus on. All these years, I had always believed it was logistics, because we were supposedly the center
Of logistics with
of
FedEx and all that.
Right, but healthcare was then the #1 revenue producing industry, and today it's still.
It was even then.
It was then.
Okay.
And so as I dug a little bit deeper, come to find out that there was no locally owned distributors of medical supplies. We had entities of national reputation that were based here, but no locally owned company. And I was like, hey, here's an opportunity for me to create a niche, and this was, again, when I was rediscovering everything.
Yeah.
And I rediscovered that I wanted to own my own business. I didn't want to go back to Memphis Like Gas and Water. So we started to think more and more about it, and we came up with the notion of medical distribution. Because of healthcare being the #1 industry, because the VA hospital was right here in the heart of downtown, I was a veteran coming out of the military, I was a locally owned small business, it gave me an opportunity to put together a package that I thought would do well. So we put together that package, and my mom allowed me to move back home, and I operated out of her garage for the first 5 years. That's how we got started with that entrepreneur seed of wanting to launch the very first business, a medical wholesale distribution at 314 Clower, my mom's address.
That is such a beautiful story.
So that's how we literally got started with the first business, and quickly. The second one, which is real estate development, my pastor at the time, Reverend James Nethers, in 1998, tapped me on the shoulder one Sunday and said, I want you to build me some senior housing for our constituents. I had no clue how to go about making that happen, but because Reverend asked me to do it, I took the challenge on. We built 48 units of independent housing right across the street from Westwood High School in the Westwood community. 48 units went packed. First day we opened, and to this very day, there's still a waiting list, people wanting to get into those housing. I got bit by the bug of developing, so we continued. And over the years, we've done more multifamily housing, single family housing, historical preservations, i.e. the Chisco Hotel in the heart of downtown. We got a luxury bed and breakfast in Victoria Village called the James Lee House. It's an 1847 Victoria home that we bought from the city for $1. We renovated, and now it's 5-suite luxury bed and breakfast. So that's the real estate development piece. And then in 2003, the third business came about, Tech Print, which is commercial printing. We have been following Steve Cohen for years. If you guys remember, he spent 18 years trying to bring lottery to the state of Tennessee. For some reason, in 2003, I felt he was going to finally be successful. So I started to travel around the country attending lottery conferences so that I could understand the terminology, the technology, and who the movers shakers were of the lottery industry. I wanted that print business. So after we did that, 2004, we actually got involved in the legislation of the lottery. We made sure there was language put in the legislation that required that the printing of the lottery tickets be done in the state of Tennessee, right? Again, with my eye on that print vendors opportunity, we wanted to make sure that we limited our competition to Tennessee only.
Right. That's brilliant.
So we were successful with making that happen. And when the RFP went out across the state, approximately 25 different print vendors responded. And they all talked about their generational experience in printing. My granddaddy did this, my daddy did this, and so on and so forth. But nobody could talk about their experience in the printing industry because nobody here in Tennessee had that experience. I was able to, in my response, talk about the technology, the terminology, the finished product expectation, and I knew who the players were.
Yeah.
I asked for 120 days because at the time I didn't have a facility, I didn't have a press, I didn't have employees. All I had was an
Idea. Wow.
a vision of how it could be done. They gave me 120 days. Within 115, they came in and they did an inspection of our facilities. And we've been printing the lottery tickets for the state of Tennessee ever since.
Wow.
And we still do that to this very
That's
day.
amazing.
Wow.
Well, first I want to say thank you for your service.
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. Second, you know how you're in a room with someone that's done really good work and has a lot of knowledge and just a genius in their field, and you're just supposed to just sit back and listen.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to ask you a question. I just want to just tell me the next story.
Right.
But you said that you found your niche and you went out to conferences to learn about how to be better in that space.
Mm-hmm.
For our listeners who want to become entrepreneurs, what advice would you give them?
Be willing to do the work. It's one thing to say that you want to do, but it's another thing to be willing to do what needs to be done in order to get the work done. Does that make sense to you?
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
And not enough people really recognize that. Folks talk all day long about wanting to do this, wanting to do that, but they don't have a clue about what the work ethics look like in order to be able to accomplish those things.
Yeah.
They don't know what the long hours at night look like. They don't know what it feels like not to get paid. Even when you provided the service, you're still not getting paid. They don't know what it's like to live that downside of entrepreneurship.
I'm about to go jump in that lake. You keep talking like that. Because that is so true.
Yeah.
That the amount of work that you have to do as an entrepreneur, the long nights, you're staying up 2, 3 in the morning to get something done. It's on your mind, but you have a meeting the next day at 8, and you have to be there at 8.
Yep.
Right? I think that, a lot of people see the house and the car and the whatever, and like, oh, I want that,
Right.
but don't really understand the work that's put in when you close that office door.
Absolutely.
Right? That's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that too many see the outcome,
The glory.
glory, and not the work that's needed.
Absolutely.
I'm just thinking about, first of all, you said you went around the nation to conferences to learn the industry before you were really even in the industry. Right. That's that preparation that no one knows about, and you don't just go around the nation by foot. So you're investing in yourself, right?
Absolutely.
You're buying hotel tickets or flights, airline tickets and hotels and staying in places and going to meetings to meet people because you plan to enter this.
Right.
And
those conferences weren't cheap.
Hey, we know about that. And those flights are not cheap.
Willing to do what needs to be done in order to get the work done. Does that make sense to you?
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
And not enough people really recognize that. Folks talk all day long about wanting to do this, wanting to do that, but they don't have a clue about what the work ethics look like in order to be able to accomplish those things. They don't know what the long hours at night look like. They don't know what it feels like not to get paid. Even when you provided the service, you're still not getting paid. They don't know what it's like to live that downside of entrepreneurship.
I'm about to go jump in that lake out front. You keep talking like that. Because that is so true.
Yeah.
That the amount of work that you have to do as an entrepreneur, the long nights, you're staying up, 2, 3 in the morning to get something done. It's on your mind, but you have a meeting the next day at 8, and you have to be there at 8.
Yep.
Right? I think that, a lot of people see the house and the car and the whatever, and like, oh, I want that,
Right.
but don't really understand the work that's put in when you close that office door.
Absolutely.
Right? That's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that too many see the outcome,
The glory.
glory, and not the work that's needed.
Absolutely.
I'm just thinking about, first of all, you said you went around the nation to conferences to learn the industry before you were really even in the industry.
Right.
That's that preparation that no one knows about, and
Yep.
you don't just go around the nation by foot. So you're investing in yourself, right?
Absolutely.
You're buying hotel tickets or flights, airline tickets and hotels and staying in places and going to meetings to meet people because you plan to enter this.
Right.
And there's a lot
those
of
conferences weren't cheap.
Hey, we know about that. And those flights are not cheap.
Those flights are not-
Especially when you
those
wait to the
are-
last minute to buy them.
So, but the whole time you knew, look, I'm working on something. I'm trying to enter into this. I got to know the movers and shakers. I got to know the language. I got to know the industry.
Yep.
And you're learning,
Absolutely.
just consuming information.
Absolutely.
And then coming back here, probably to this desk and working through it and thinking about how to build your business.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
That's the first thing I get is like, no, that's the work that probably no one ever hears you talk about. They see the businesses
Right.
and don't realize the business didn't start when the public heard about it.
Right.
The business started when it started in your mind and you started investing
Exactly.
in that. Okay.
Exactly.
And then you said that you realized that there was no locally owned medical supplier.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about that. How did you learn it? You were looking at data, someone.
Oh yeah. You can do your research on what businesses are established here in Memphis and Shelby County, and there wasn't any of us. I literally, when I made the jump into the wholesale distribution business, took it national because I ended up having to, and I tell you why. In the healthcare industry, there's group purchasing organizations. They call them GPOs, entity that control contracts, so that the institutions have an opportunity to buy product from various different manufacturers who are a part of those GPOs. Without access to the contract, you're beating your head up against the wall against contract pricing that the big boys have access to. But you as a small fry, you simply don't have access to it. So you're competing at a loss from Jump Street. So when I got into the industry and recognized that, one of the things we end up doing, and again, because it was a part of survival, we needed to gain access to those GPO contracts. So we went to a national organization called Healthcare Distributors Association, and we created a non-for-profit organization of minority medical supply distributors, people who look like me, that did what I did across the country. It wasn't many of us,
Right.
and it's still not many of us, but we were fortunate enough to be able to start that non-for-profit at a national level, and we were able to get Methodists back here in Memphis to partner up with us to choose my company as an entity that they wanted to do business with on a local perspective. And through that desire, they were able to take their membership with a particular GPO called Premier Partners and say to Premier Partners, we want to give access to the Premier Group, my company, through this GPO. That opened the door not only for me, but for other minority businesses across the country that were able to get an institution that was a member of a GPO to join forces with them to say the same thing. And that opened up the gate for those few minority distributors across the country to be able to gain access to the contract.
Yeah.
And that changed the whole story.
Yeah.
That changed our lives. Man.
Wow. And you named it, our lives, because the other thing that's so beautiful, we even see this in the work we do about entrepreneurship or businesses, is it's not just you.
Right.
It's the people who will work there and how you'll help them live their best lives.
Yes.
And then I'm sure in the medical supply, and probably all of them, my mom was a nurse, still is a nurse, but the medical supply industry, those supplies make their way into clinics and into hospitals, into convalescent homes and aging centers all across the country, I'm sure,
Yep.
to help other people just heal. That's so inspiring.
Yeah. I kind of have, based on that story, I have two questions. One is, could you, take us inside the room with those partners and talk about what did those conversations look like? How did you how did you get into the room to have those conversations? And then two, did you feel any pressure knowing that you would be the first to do this and how it would help so many others?
No, I didn't feel any pressure about being the first. My focus was on being a survivor. How do I create this opportunity? How do I make this a reality so that I can survive? I'm one of those people who believe when you do good, good come about, right? When you raise the water, all the boats rise, right? So I was convinced that if I did this for myself, others would benefit from it, and everybody would be happy, right? And that's the way it ended up. To get into the room, it was all about being present. Here in Memphis, Tennessee, you couldn't go anywhere, or you still can't go anywhere without hearing JW Gibson's name. And back then, you saw JW everywhere. I mean, I was everywhere. You can think of, I was there talking about how do we come together as Memphians to build a better city. How do we create win-wins whereby we can multiply the success of one? And that's what we talked about over and over again. When I said it and I talked with the Gary Schultz of the world, we talked about, Gary, if you give me an opportunity to supply your institution with medical supplies, I can hire somebody who doesn't have to count on TennCare, Medicare. When they need support from Methodists, they will have health insurance. And they will be able to come into Methodists and pay Methodists because they have health insurance provided by the Premier Group and Gibson Companies. Thanks to you making the decision to do business with me. It's a win-win cycle that we all need to take in consideration, and we can make this happen for a better city.
Wow, brilliant.
That's the type of language we were talking.
That's the conversation.
Yep.
Yeah. So you tie their investment in your company to the people that you can impact and help.
Exactly.
Not just your customer, but even your employees.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it.
And we talked about a partnership, building a partnership that's going to better this community.
And that's what you've done.
that's what we tried.
And that's what you've done over the years. So, I mean, I'm curious. I mean, so the lottery came,
Mm-hmm.
and you print for them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a business.
Yes.
So,
That's a business.
and is that like your primary client, the lottery, or that's
Yeah.
all you only print for them? So you're not printing nothing for us. I mean, it's not that kind of company.
Nah.
No. So
not-
He's
it's
not
not open to
printing
the-
anything for us yet. Put them
I got
together.
you. And that, I mean, there's a pot of money there
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
So for all states that have lotteries, there's a company that's printing for them.
Mm-hmm.
There's an industry for that. That's fascinating. And you thought about this? How did you come to think that's what I want out of the whole entire lottery industry?
Again, because of watching Steve Cohen struggle each and every year to try to bring those opportunities to the city. I was like, man, what if he was able to do that? And then if he's able to do that, what would I want out of it? And that's how we came up on the lottery.
Was printing a major barrier for him in trying to get it, or is just the people didn't want it?
People did not want the game of chances. That's why we don't have casino gambling in Tennessee.
Yeah.
People don't like game of chance. Games of chance, yeah.
Yeah. But then once they got here, there was a business.
They were cool with it, but they still hadn't allowed gambling. And we lost our lunch in Mississippi. We're losing our lunch to West Memphis, Arkansas, because Tennesseans refuse to buy into the game of chance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think so. I mean, let's look to the future.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still building businesses? You got some more that you're thinking about? And I do want to come back to your daughter in a moment and her venture.
Okay, so once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur. I firmly believe that. Even though I here recently made a conscious decision to try to slow down, back up a little bit, and start enjoying life. You know, this is something that I hadn't taken advantage of, and I know I haven't taken advantage of because we're out there constantly running. One of the reasons I pulled back from the county mayoral's race is because I want to focus more on my family, myself, and taking advantage of those things that we spent the last 33 years building.
Yeah.
However, I am still an entrepreneur.
To your heart.
Yeah, and people still bring me ideas that they either want my involvement or just my advice.
Yeah.
So we're still actively involved.
Well, you definitely be hearing from. I'm saving that number. I'm gonna be reaching out because no, seriously. I mean, there's so many things that we thought about. You know, the podcast. We had an opportunity where some superintendents came. Anyway, there's all these opportunities. I always have these ideas and conversations about like, man, what if we? And I think this conversation with you has really helped me remember that sometimes you do just have to just do it.
Yeah.
You know, you got to get into your office and do the background work. I mean, the prime time is fun, but there's some preparation backstage before you are front stage that we've got to do to really learn the industries we want to enter into, get to know the people. We hadn't really thought about that. We've got a conference we're going to out of the country a little bit, and J'Quen already said, we've been trying not to pay that registration fee. There's people who keep writing us every day. Like, we're all going to pay it, and we're like, oh man, it's so much, but it's the right investment to be in the right place, around the right people, to take the opportunity forward. So we're definitely going to do that. And, you know, I wish we could turn the camera around so y'all could see this lovely place. But, you know, there's a really powerful juxtaposition between living in your mom's home and operating out of the basement in this mansion in I'm going to call it a mansion in North Memphis. I mean, and I know many people would just love this, but this didn't start here.
Right.
And you said you moved back with your mom, so you went from someplace to go back because you saw something.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, it's all about that statement I made earlier when I talked about knowing your core being, knowing who you are. We've been blessed. We could live pretty much anywhere we want to live. But that's not what makes us happy. Yeah. That's not what gives us peace. Yeah. This gives us peace. And in the heart, as you say, of North Memphis. This is Raleigh, actually. My fellow neighbors would get mad. They'd let me go on and continue to call it North Memphis.
Okay.
But this is Raleigh, and not many people think much of Raleigh. You heard all the naysay about the Raleigh community. It is that we got work to do, but nonetheless, here's where our core is. Here's where our core brings us to neutralize itself, to rejuvenate itself. This is where we get our energy from, here in the heart of Raleigh, in an environment like this. So, regardless of what people say, knowing what makes us feel good, what rejuvenates us, is half the argument, it's half the battle. So again, when you know who you are, you can withstand the challenges, you can stand all the naysayers, you can withstand people calling you this and that and all that stuff when you know who you are.
Wow.
And you got that core being to rely on.
Yeah.
It can take you through a lot.
Take you through a lot. Well, I mean, I'm sure if we had all day to talk with you from, 33 years ago to now, you certainly have likely faced challenges
Absolutely.
and learned lessons and many successes and some setbacks. And so that knowing yourself is really powerful. It'll push you through that storm.
Yep.
Take you through that storm.
Absolutely.
Any storm you would face. So we're going to wrap up pretty quickly. I had I know one thing. So I've known you for several years, and not one time have you ever told me that technically I should be calling you Dr. JW Gibson.
Well, that just happened here recently.
Really?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes, absolutely.
I said, no, wait a minute.
Yeah, Christian Brothers blessed me with an honorary doctorate.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, 24.
Well, you know what? For the rest of this podcast, you are Dr.
If you go that route, you got to call me Dr. J.
Dr. J, there it is. Dr. J, listen, we can't thank you enough for your time. We typically close our show with some wild card questions. What's something that you have read, seen, or heard lately that left an impact on you?
Ooh.
Take a second, take a sip of my water.
Something that I've seen that still troubles me. I was one of the millions who watched the news the other night when a young man was shot in the neck. And they disclosed that on national TV. To see that young man speaking his word to all those young folks who were so engaged in what he was saying. And he had that power to influence thousands of young folks. And to hear his words affect them the way they were at the time, then all of a sudden, to see that shot in the neck. It broke my heart, but it re-emphasized that you never promise another day.
Yeah.
You never know when your last day is going to be or how it's going to end. That motivated me to say to myself, and I say to everybody who's listening, take advantage of the time that God has given you here on this earth. Do good for good reasons, and those blessings will come back to you tenfold. Seeing that shot rejuvenized me, recommitted me to wanting to do good for as many as I possibly can.
Wow, that's powerful. Well, certainly we want to recognize the family of those where we're impacted by that tragedy, and certainly thank you for those kind words. I'm going to let J'Quen have our last question for you, but while he's getting that queued up, you said that once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur,
Yes.
and apparently it goes through the bloodline, because you were saying to us before the show that even your daughter now has launched her own kind of nonprofit business.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It has been a whirlwind, but it's been very, very exciting. She has a classmate of hers. They both attend Lausanne which is a fabulous school. Both of my daughters attend Lausanne, and the school does wonderful work. And this is part of the byproduct of what Lausanne does through their encouraging those kids who are attending the school, are given an opportunity, are suggested to engage themselves in these types of activities.
Really?
And they give them the resource and the support when they find themselves wanting to do these type of activities. So they got the support from Lausanne teacher body. They also got the support from their family, which we were blessed to be able to do so. However, it was her and her friend discovered the trials and tribulations of homeless people and decided they wanted to try to do something to be of some assistance to them. It started off with them driving around town handing out little toiletry package so that the homeless people will have something to clean themselves up with eventually, right? And then it grew, and it's kept growing. And last year she came to me as they were putting this together. They didn't have a 501c3 yet, but they wanted to hold events for for homeless people, not only to feed them, but to give them more toiletries, to try to help them get into areas that could be more beneficial to them as far as safety and a place to lay their heads at night, like Hospitality Hut. And they came to me because they didn't have a 501c3 in place and asked me to serve as a fiscal agent.
Look at that smile.
Man, what are you talking about? That blew me up. I was like, what? So, of course, we accepted the ask, and we served as fiscal agent for a while. Now they have the 501c3 in hand, and they're doing great. They're raising money. Matter of fact, today I took my daughter, Savannah J, to the bank in order to make a deposit.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's raising money. She got money coming in. Now she's depositing those monies into the account. She's
awesome.
having the full circle effect of what it's all about having a thought, putting that thought to paper, and being able to create reality out of those thoughts.
That's awesome.
And she's living that now.
Man, that's fantastic. Well, hats off to the two of you, and certainly to your daughter and her business partner and friend at this point, Quinn.
What I like with that makes me think about a lot of our work too is like meeting others' basic needs, and people need food, people need shelter, safety needs, understanding that they can go home and lay their heads somewhere at night, not worrying about where they're going that night, but also understanding that it's a safe space and safe place. The last question we have for you is a would you rather. I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. So, would you rather spend your days building systems that outlive you, or telling stories that shift hearts and minds right now, and why?
Oh man, that's a good one. That's a good one, and I don't know. I'm torn with that because historically, I've always been this person who just did stuff, and I didn't look to talk about it. So this piece about telling a story in hopes of creating a positive effect, I've never really done that. I just kind of allow my work to speak for itself, and what people took from that, they did. The ability to create something that would be in play years after I'm gone, I think is the direction I would take. Because I think about, for example, Hattie Lou Theater. Hattie Lou Theater is in the heart of what is now known a theater district. And when Eck and I started that work, Eck was on Marshall in downtown Memphis in a little small 75-seat room. And I was taken away by this young man's ability to produce plays. And we talked about his dream. Make a long story short, his dream was he wanted to have his own theater. There's not many African-American owned theaters, standalone theaters in the United States. To this very day, there's only 7 nationally. And Hattie Lou Theater is one of those.
Wow.
All right? So for us to be able to take his vision and put the work in order to be able to create Hattie Lou Theater that sits on the corner of Madison, that's Monroe. That's Monroe and Cooper, in the heart of Overland Square, what is now called the Theater District, with the coming of Hattie Lou. Hattie Lou recreated that name.
Wow.
You know, the theaters were there. The 1 and 2 that's there. They were already there, and we just came in with the, I don't know what to call it, but we came in with the energy in order to say this needs to be recognized now as a district, because we got a Black-owned theater district, in the midst of our city. It's something that we ought to be excited about. It's something we ought to be proud of. So that's going to go for years and years when JW lays down the rest.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Don't mind visit that.
We absolutely.
But as my friend, I'm gonna give it over to him to take us home. But I really want to say one, thank you for welcoming us into your home and doing the podcast with us. Thank you for your service again. I really enjoyed hearing your story. And I hope that you are on the podcast a second time in the coming months.
Well, thank you guys for coming out, and thanks for this hat thing.
Yeah.
I kind of like this hat thing.
Yeah.
I don't usually wear ball caps, but
we
y'all
listen, we do, and we get it from our moms all the time about wearing these hats, and we wear hoodies. But listen, to each and every one of you out there, we started the podcast by talking about the fact that we were so fortunate to have with us JW Gibson. We called him the man, and you see, he is a man. He's got a wife, he's got kids. He's talked about his journey. We called him the myth. So don't let the cool, calm, collected demeanor fool you. This is brilliance. This is genius. To identify a problem and then build a system, a company to address it. Not once, not twice, but 3 times or more. Brilliant, genius, entrepreneur, can write the book about it. We called him the legend. And the legend is this, that as J'Quen said, we got to have you back sometime because we've learned so much. But not only us, thank you for what you've offered our audience. We believe every single week there's someone who will watch this episode. And we always get emotional on our show. So here I am fighting back tears because I'm thinking about those people who want to start their own business. Who didn't know that they could do it. But your show and your story will speak to that single mom, speak to that dad who's been laid off, who's worried about how he's going to help his family eat.
Absolutely.
And just your vulnerability and your honesty transcends. Thank you so very much, Mr. Gibson. And y'all know what to do. This wraps up the podcast. So we will see you back next week, same time, same channel. Like and subscribe on all things social media. Go to YouTube, hit that little button and follow us. And until next time, y'all know what we do. We say if you're going to go out here, go and do something. But don't be afraid to do something big. Do something good. Do good work.
Thank you for tuning in to Do Good Work Podcast. We hope you found today's conversation informative, uplifting, and insightful. Don't forget to like and share this episode with your networks. Follow us on social media at Do Good Work on X, formerly Twitter, for real-time updates, behind-the-scenes content, and so much more. Until next time, friends, don't be afraid to do something, but do something good. Do good work.